Alrighty, so today we're going to be making a soap that is inspired by it's going to be the first in a line of soaps that are inspired by either musicians or particular bands. And this one is actually inspired by the band U2, and it's specifically the Joshua Tree album. And I came up with this idea to do band and musician inspired soaps after I found a mica by, I think it was Nurture Soap, that's actually the name of an album by Journey. And I was like, I just came up with an idea for a soap that was inspired by a Journey album. So that one is coming. I'm not going to do it first because it's actually going to be one of the more difficult designs that I've come up with. It'll be the first time I've ever done anything that is like this, which is actually the U2 album inspiration soap. The Joshua Tree soap is actually the first time I've ever done this too, so we'll see how it turns out. It's going to be black and white like the album cover. The Joshua Tree album, actually more specifically the back of the Joshua Tree album, which has the actual Joshua tree, which is a tree that is in the agave family. It's spiky. And the album cover is black and white, so we're going to do a black and white inspiration. It was an album that was a tribute by U2 to the United States. And so actually more specifically the desolation and the expanse and the openness of the desert and I think they were in California at the time, so this was really right outside of Los Angeles where they actually took the photographs with the Joshua Tree, which it was actually very cold in the desert when they took these. And the photographer wanted everybody to be very serious and severe, so therefore that's the seriousness and severeness of the pictures on the album. But in the book, which we got my son a few years ago when he started, it's called U2, by U2. They actually talk about the Joshua Tree and the album and the making of the album. And Larry Mullen Jr., who was actually the founding member of, he's the drummer, the founding member of the band U2. He said, the Joshua Tree was in some ways an acknowledgement of the influence that American culture had on U2. America was the center of the world and we were being successful there, and that's why we wanted more than anything else. And that's what they wanted more than anything else. And he said for him, it represented the other side of America, the open space, the freedom, what America stood for. It's a kind of a tribute. And The Edge says that the album was really just a reference to that whole desert Southwest and the experience of being out there. The desert is a transitional space. It doesn't have a kind of right or wrong nor any kind of strong personality. For us, it was like a journey through the neutral ground to get where we were going. So you can't get more neutral than black and white. So that's why we went with the black and white. And in the desert and the spikiness of cactus and specifically the actual Joshua Tree. So that's where we're going with this soap, and we hope that you like it, and we hope it turns out. Actually, I'll show you my actual drawing of what it's supposed to look like. This is my, don't laugh, it's only so much you can do with crayons. But anyway, that's the inspiration for our U2 inspired Joshua Tree soap, and I hope you enjoy watching. Okay, let's make some soap. I've got my lye in the strainer, my goat milk and lye, and this is got my oils. They're about 74 degrees. Both of them were about 74 degrees. Get this all strained up in here. Again, we do this to get any of the undissolved lye, if there were any, plus capture any of the like fat particles that don't dissolve very well. So you don't want those will end up, they get into the soap and they don't get blended in, they would make the soap go rancid, so to keep those out. All right, so we're going to blend this all together, and then I'm going to separate it into our containers where I have organic bamboo activated charcoal, and I have it's going to be a kind of ombre soap with a black, a little darker charcoal, and then a light gray, and then we're going to have a solid white top. Okay, and the fragrance we're going to be using today is called Pheromone. It's from Nurture Soap, and it is a sage and mint. It says without being too earthy, sexy and clean, with just a hint of exotic, which sounds like YouTube to me. So let's get this blended up. And our mix of our oils, we are using an organic sustainable palm oil, organic coconut oil, organic olive oil, and castor oil, and an organic cocoa butter. So right now it smells very chocolatey. It's so yummy. It smells good just like this. All right, so I'm not going to add my fragrance oil in just yet because I need this to stay pretty liquidy while I mix in the colors, and I have to do different layers between. We're going to do some spiky layers that are going to, they're supposed to resemble the spikiness of the Joshua tree, which was actually a yucca tree. It's in the agave family, and it can be really spiky. So each layer is going to be spiky. We're going to use a comb to do that. All right, so get these separated off. Try to use the same amount of each one. All right, and this here, we're going to leave like this, and we're going to put some titanium dioxide mixed with distilled water to give it a nice white. But that's the last step, so we'll put that off. And we'll start with our darkest one. Trying to mix it up, I'll just do it by hand. Fragrance oil, just a little bit to each one. Separate it between all four of them. It smells good. All right, and I have lined my little silicone lined mold with a wood grain silicone mold. Came in a big sheet. I got it off of Amazon. It looks like this, and it's supposed to resemble the, hopefully it's gonna mimic the bark of the Joshua tree. Now we're gonna let that sit to firm up a little bit, and we'll mix up our second color. And that one's still looking a little dark, so we're gonna add a little bit of titanium dioxide. Lighten that up a little bit. And the titanium dioxide should help that level, or this layer, to firm up a little bit more. And cool fact, if you ever have wondered, if you looked at the U2 album, the Joshua Tree album cover got them the reputation of being serious, cold, even, but in reality, the reason the band looked so absolutely serious on the album cover was because they were actually freezing. It was so cold in the desert, and they, I guess they weren't used to such extreme temperatures. They weren't expecting it, that's for sure. And so that would be why they looked so serious, because basically they were just freezing to death. All right, let's see if that's firmed up. Not really. All right, we'll give that a minute and we'll be back. Okay, so we're going to take this comb, which it was part of a cake decorating set of decorating tools for fondant that I guess got off YouTube, and my husband cut them down to fit inside this mold. So we're gonna take that, and this is gonna represent the spikiness of the agave, and we'll just drag that down. Pull it up and scrape the excess off into the container here. So then we'll go ahead and I'm going to pour the next layer, and as I pour it, I will break the fall with the spatula. Oops, almost poured the wrong one. Get the sides cleaned up. All right. So this fragrance oil is behaving very, very well. It's staying very nice and workable. all of that in there. And the reason for the black and white, if you're a fan of U2, the Joshua Tree album, the cover is in black and white, so. And which was actually, I had a whole different design drawn up, and then my son, who is a huge U2 fan, actually reintroduced me to my love for music, really, which has inspired this whole line of band soaps that we're doing, band musicians. We have a whole lineup coming up, and he inspired me really to enjoy music again. Because when the kids were growing up, I was in high school and college, and when the kids were little, I really enjoyed music. I used to dance a lot, and I listened all the time. But then when the kids got older, and then they started, or when they had their own taste in music, which was Barney, The Wiggles, I don't know, whatever Disney movie they had been listening to, Disney soundtracks, and VeggieTales, what we were listening to in the car. And then when they got a little bit older, the time in the car, which is when I used to listen to music the most, I would just have nothing. So it was my time to just be alone and not have to, and just have the silence. But kind of he's rekindled my enjoyment of music again. Rekindled the fire, I guess. And introduced me to bands and songs and people, artists that I had never really known, or at least I didn't know that much about. And he kind of taught me more about the bands. And so we're going to do another soap pretty soon, and I'll talk more about that. Some preconceived notions I guess you get from listening to the radio and DJs, and your own parents who had their own ideas about bands and stuff and people. So you had these ideas and you really didn't know, and then you come to find out how you actually do like the band. All right, so now we're gonna do the next layer, which I haven't added the fragrance to this one yet. So but U2, I've always been a huge fan. I think my favorite song was always With or Without You. But my son has introduced me to a lot more songs. And the reason behind them, because he actually listens, and I used to just listen to the music, but I never really paid much attention to the words. But he actually listens to the lyrics. So he has explained a lot of stuff to me. It makes me have more of an appreciation for the music. But my favorite song of theirs now, I would say, is Beautiful Day and The Sweetest Thing. I love both of those. Make you feel happy, and I like happy music. Although The Sweetest Thing, I think my son said Bono wrote because of a fight he had with his wife over, I think, not remembering her birthday. So it's kind of funny, but if you listen to it with that in mind, changes how you listen to it, I think. All right, last of the black and or gray layers, black and gray. And that one hadn't firmed up quite enough. Wait a minute on that. Okay. So last spiky layer. And I'll take all this soap that I'm scraping into here. I'll scrape it into a little silicone mold that I have sitting over here. So none of the soap will go to waste. Oops, messed that one up a little bit. I was trying so hard not to make such a mess today. Alrighty, so now we're gonna add, I've already added the titanium dioxide to this layer, and we'll add the last of the fragrance oil in there. Yikes. I'll just mix that in. Oh, this is thickened up quite a bit with that titanium dioxide in there. It looks to accelerate the trace. But this is okay because it's the top, so we are going to be fine. And hopefully I can get it in there. Get it all spread around with that, messing up that nice spiky line. Don't want to ruin our spiky texture. And this soap smells so good. Man, it's kind of, I think men and women both like it. I'm pretty sure my husband's gonna love this one. Although men typically, from what I found at farmers markets and for years selling soap, I don't know, men always like the fruity ones too. I guess it's more the women who are attracted to the manlier smelling soaps. I like both. I like anything. I like a lot of herbal, natural scents. All right, we will get this one. Spread around in there as gently as possible so I don't ruin my spiky texture. And then I'm not going to do any swirls or anything on top of this one because I'm going to take a piece of the wood grain silicone pad that I found, and we're going to lay that, press that across the top, which I've never done anything like that before, which I've never done this spiky layer before either. So we're just doing all kinds of new stuff. We'll just see how it turns out though. It never hurts to try. Next time I'll probably try to cut it so it fits better inside. Kind of thought that soap was gonna come up more than it did into the mold. So we will see how this turns out. All right, y'all, so that's it for this one. I'm just gonna let it sit for 24 to 48 hours. I don't insulate, I don't put any covers on, I don't stick it in the refrigerator. I just leave it sitting out at room temperature for 24 to 48 hours before I cut. Sometimes longer, it depends on if I have enough, how much time I have, or if I'm impatient to see the inside. It could be 12, 18 hours. Sometimes I'm a little impatient to see how a design came out. But anyway, I will be back and we'll look and see how this looks when we cut it up. Okay, let's see how this turned out. See what we have. I decided to cut it from the top. Did not turn out as well as the bottom with the wood grain silicone. So I decided I'm gonna make the top or the bottom the top. So we'll see. And that was actually the original design, but I changed it up. I think I'm gonna go back with what I had thought was gonna work and what did work. Next time if I make this design again, I won't make this soap again probably, but if I do a design like this again, I will do the, try to figure out how to do the wood grain so that it can go up the sides as well. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, super cool. Not exactly what I was going for, but I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had a soap that actually turned out to be exactly what I had planned on it looking like. But wow. That is, I'm gonna have to clean up what is going to be the bottom now. See, the top does not look as good as the bottom. What I put it in the top. This way. But oh yeah, that is super cool. And coincidentally, on the way home today, they were playing all these U2 songs on XM on my drive home. So it reminded me that I needed to cut this. I had to let it sit for in the mold longer than usual. I'm not sure why. The humidity has just been killer the last couple of days. We've had so much rain, which is typical spring in Florida. But usually my soap studio is kept relatively dry because we have a dry setting on our air conditioner that works really well at keeping the humidity down in here, but it was not working for the last couple of days. I would come in my soap studio and the humidity would be at 70–80%, which is not ideal for curing soap or storing soap. So we messed with it, the air conditioner and our filtration system that we have, and we got it down, thankfully, before I had to take all my soap in the house. And it seems to be doing okay now, but if it keeps working like that, if it keeps messing up, I'll have to just invest in a dehumidifier for out here. Although I hate to do that because I've heard they are super expensive to run, and they're not very energy efficient. But okay, so that is, let's see the top again. This is my U2 inspired soap. I haven't thought of a name for it yet. Hopefully by the time this is available, I will have thought of something. I might go with just the Joshua Tree, which was actually inspiration for this soap, was not just the album, but the actual Joshua Tree, the real tree. If you want to Google it, look it up. You'll see how cool it looks. It's in I think I said that in the video, that it's actually in the agave family. So it's like a cactus, very spiky, but it does have a nice wood grain on the trunk. And then it's very spiky leaves, which these were supposed to, the layers were going to represent the spikes. And then the black and white was actually in reference to the Joshua Tree album cover by U2. So that is it. So everybody have a great day. If you want to, if you feel inspired to listen to some U2, some of my favorite songs, like I've said before, The Sweetest Thing. If you're ever having a bad day, the song A Beautiful Day is very much uplifting. And if you ever want to learn a little bit about Irish history, you can listen to U2 songs too. Sunday Bloody Sunday, although an upbeat song, a very serious song. So if you want to learn a little bit about the troubles in Ireland, U2 can definitely help you out there. So anyway, y'all, have a blessed day, and we will see you later. And don't forget, if you like this video and you want to see more from us, please like and subscribe, and you can hit the little notification bell at the top right hand of your screen. But if you're like me, I never get notifications, so it won't hurt my feelings if you decide not to. But please subscribe if you want to, and if you want to see new videos, if you want to get notification of wherever we upload new videos, you can, of course, select the notifications. And anyway, if you have any ideas or things that you'd like to see from us, let us know. And hey, if you want to comment what you how you like the soap, and what you think of our U2 inspiration, and what your favorite U2 song was. I'd love to see your comments. So thank you again, and y'all have a very blessed day.